X-Pac 12360. Featuring weekly news, insider commentary, and interviews with superstars, past and present from the world of pro wrestling.
A new day is dawning for DX.
And now, your host, Sean X-Pac Waltman.
Welcome to X-Pac 12360, everyone. I'm your host. Do I got to say my name like every time, and I'm your host and all that? Like everyone knows, right?
I think they know.
Yeah, they can
I
tell.
hope they know by now.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm your host, Sean X-Pac Waltman.
Your name is on the show.
Right? Yeah.
Well, we're in Westwood now, so you never know. People
That's
might
right.
be tuning in for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what's on the Chris Jericho network?
I was just
Who's the
about
Sean
ready to
Waltman
say
fellow?
X-Pac 12360 right here on the Jericho Network, right here on Westwood One. That's kind of that sounds like when Austin Powers goes, "Allow myself to introduce myself."
Maybe
Anyways,
that's how you should start the show.
Yeah.
okay. So we're going to talk about Elimination Chamber, but there's some other cool stuff. We were at SmackDown tapings at Staples Center last night, and we got a couple of really good interviews. The one we're going to have for everyone today is Shelton Benjamin, and it was really cool.
It was amazing.
Yeah, it was good to talk to Shelton about things. Because I mean, as you'll hear in the interview, like I met him the first day he showed up to
OVW.
Well, no, it was the first time like after they were recruited from University of Minnesota, and he and Brock were at SummerSlam '99.
Nice.
Yeah, in Minneapolis. That was the first time I met those guys. Yeah, and we'll get you'll hear like our conversation and that, and it's really interesting.
It was a
Jimbo,
really
you
great
were there.
interview. It was amazing.
And we had Drew Gulak too. We interviewed. We're gonna play that in an upcoming episode. But anyways, yeah, in a little while we're gonna have
Shelton Benjamin.
Shelton Benjamin. But now let's get like into Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you guys think? You know what? Like, did you notice? These are just aesthetic things. Like, but I noticed the overhead camera shot with all the.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. It reminds me of looking down on a board game or something.
Yeah, yeah. For
like a
sure.
bird's eye view?
Yeah.
I love the new chamber. I love the way it looks.
Yeah, it's cool, right? Yeah. I really like the ladies' Elimination Chamber match.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, man.
It was a little weird that Mickie James and Alexa Bliss ended up not ever being in the ring together after weeks of like, oh, are you really my friend? Are you not? And then Mickie gets eliminated before Alexa's even in the match. But it was great. I liked
Yes. Yeah, and I didn't notice that because I don't follow it as close as you do. I will say that Mickie James looked great in the match, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's nice to not see her wearing those leg skirts.
Yes. She kind of had a Wonder Woman
Yeah, no, completely
inspired outfit. Yeah.
It's great.
And she looked good in it, and she looked really good in the match. And so did everyone else.
Yeah, for sure. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think honestly the women's chamber was probably my favorite of the night. I thought that it was very well laid out.
Yeah.
And then all the women did such a good job. They utilized the chamber a lot more, I think, than the men, which was really cool to see. And then one of the things I liked was towards the end when it was the final three girls, Sasha, Bailey, and Alexa. I love the cat and mouse game that they played when Alexa was coming into the chamber and they're chasing her, and then Sasha turns on, well, I guess somewhat turns on Bailey by kicking her. I just thought this was very well put together, and then Alexa's post-match promo was so good. I was just like dying because I love Alexa, and it was gold, man. For a second I thought she was turning babyface, and then she comes back and she fooled me.
It's really cool to be fooled in wrestling. Like if they can fool you, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's the best.
Yes.
Yeah.
The only thing I found weird was you couldn't pin outside in the chamber spots anymore. They changed that rule.
Weird.
I didn't like that rule. Because then it just makes it like a regular match kind of with a big cage. But I do like the new design of the chamber because they could put it in any venue now.
Yeah.
That was the issue with the last chamber. It was way too big and there was only a couple venues that could hold it. So, but that was the weirdest thing to me. Like, why can't they pin outside of the chamber? And there was even a spot, I think, in the women's match where Sasha hit a move on the outside,
Yeah,
she
yeah,
had to go
and she had to
underneath.
roll her in the
Yeah.
ring
Yeah.
to do it. But it would have been so much more like, oh shit.
Yeah, it was
Gonna
right
get
after
the pin right now.
the Twisted Bliss off the top of the pod. That was insane.
Oh man, with the knees to the face.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alexa Bliss definitely earned her money.
Yeah.
In Chamber for sure.
And what was after that?
The tag match, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Cesaro.
bar and
No,
bar.
that was okay.
Yeah.
And Nia versus Asuka, which I thought was
That
really
match
awesome.
was
Oh, yeah.
I liked
amazing.
it. Yeah, I really liked Asuka and Nia. That was really good.
It was great.
Yeah.
No, I loved it. It did exactly what it needed to do, and Asuka's just the best in the world. Like, she can tell any story
Yeah.
with anyone at any time.
And the people are getting with her, and it took a couple weeks, I think, more than a couple, for them to start getting with her. And I think that was maybe I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think, Bill?
As far as
I mean, did you kind of notice that too? Like, it just took like maybe a good month or so for the people to start like getting with Asuka like they were with her like in NXT.
yeah, I think there's always a bit of a disconnect anytime anyone comes up from NXT, where the people who watch NXT are super familiar with their character inside and out and know what they do and know who they are and know why they like them.
Yeah.
And they almost never come up with even vignettes or anything. Like back when you were around, you know, they'd show vignettes of someone for a few weeks before they brought. I mean, Asuka got vignettes, but it was just like her mask and like she's coming.
Yes.
It wasn't anything like the vignettes they're doing for her now, with like the 583 days of dominance and like all these amazing packages of like what she's capable of. Those are great, and maybe that's what she should have gotten before she came up, instead of just like an ominous like, oh, someone's coming. And it's not, she's not someone that looks like Nia Jax, where it's like, oh, this person's coming, they're a real badass, and you wouldn't know it just to look at Asuka.
Yeah.
So I think that there's always that problem of like, they just assume that people are gonna know who they are from NXT, even though in most cases they end up rebooting their story from what people started to like them in NXT anyway. Like, Bayley was a different character when she was done with NXT than when she started with NXT.
Yeah.
And they just kind of half-assed, like, oh, here's who she is. She just loves to be here. She's a fan. Without, like, they gave her like a soft reboot, kind of.
Gotcha.
So it always takes people to get a little bit of time to get into an NXT call-up. But someone like Asuka, the majority of the WWE audience hasn't been watching her for 2 years, just mow through everybody. So now that they've seen her mow through some people, now they're on board because they're like, oh, she's something special.
Well, I mean, because at first when you hear like this undefeated, like it's almost like they're talking about this monster heel or however you want to put it, and Asuka's about 5'4", maybe something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it takes a little bit to go. Okay, yeah, she is a monster. She's what. I mean, because
She's 5'2", according to Wikipedia.
and Nia's, you know, I don't know how big she is, but she's like, as height wise, she's 6 foot-ish.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
almost as tall as me. Like,
Yeah.
I have a photo with her in like flats, and she's almost as tall as I am.
And they worked the match really smart. It was how I work matches with bigger guys.
Yeah.
And
Even the ending.
yeah,
Asuka stealing the win.
Yeah.
And Nia like, nope, not going to happen. I'm going to show you why I'm the dominant force here.
Yeah.
And having Alexa watch that match and be so excited at the end, like, oh, she lost. Oh, yeah, she's going to kick her ass anyway. That was great.
yeah,
I think, I don't know who brought it up, but Sonya Deville being brought up from NXT and not having so much time down there for fans to like establish that character and get invested in her as an NXT character. And then when she gets brought to the main roster, they're like, oh, this isn't as good as it was in NXT. They brought her right up and they're molding her on the main roster, so fans are accustomed to seeing her that way.
yeah.
And I thought just her face when she walked in the chamber, you could see how happy she was and how hard she's worked to like, wow, like I was in the first women's rumble. I was in the first women's chamber. How this is like the new generation and that next step, especially for someone like her who's openly gay and an MMA fighter. And
Whoa,
just, like,
whoa, wait a minute. He's gay?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I don't have a chance. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, what?
Man, I was throwing passes left and right. No wonder. No, I'm just kidding.
So I think it's just great overall for women, for her, for everyone. It's constantly moving forward, which is what wrestling needs, especially women's wrestling.
Yeah, and as far as like what sexuality, like I didn't know one way or another, and like I didn't even. Who cares? Right?
No, but I think it's just great for
it is great
for girls wondering or struggling. They
yeah.
could look up to someone like her and be like, okay, she's open and out, and I could do it too.
Yeah,
You know?
it is. It's I love
very
that.
inspiring.
Yeah.
So, but I thought the chamber match was good.
She was really good in that. I mean, she
yeah.
was. And considering like she wasn't even a big time into wrestling or anything that before she started in it. Man, she's really good. She's very natural in the ring, and like her footwork and timing and where she, just awareness of where you are in the ring at all times, and it's very impressive.
After Asuka and Nia
we want to talk about the men's chamber, because I think since we're talking about the women's chamber, I feel like the men's chamber, I think it had some really good spots. I don't think it was like my all-time favorite men's chamber. I don't know how you guys felt about it.
Yeah, it was.
That's fine.
I liked it. I thought it was really entertaining. It's always fun to watch Braun just like
Yeah.
wreck
Manhandle people.
And I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
Like the complaint that everyone had about, or the complaint that people who had complaints about Elimination Chamber, the pay-per-view had, were that the whole thing was really predictable. It was maybe the most predictable thing in a long time. I don't have a problem with that, because they got to get to WrestleMania somehow, and they got to go through the steps to tell the story. When you're telling the story, you can't just mix up the middle of the story if that's not the story.
Yeah.
So no, I thought it was fun. I thought the whole pay-per-view was like totally enjoyable. I thought the main event was a lot of fun. Seth Rollins got to look awesome again.
I thought Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy was pretty fun for what we got.
I thought so too.
I was not a fan of the crowd just not being
They
cool
were
during
not
that match.
into that at all.
Like, I love that match, and it was really entertaining, especially like when Bray does the spider walk, and Matt's like, "Yes, everyone clap! This is great!" And like you could hear the fans chanting weird things and doing the beach ball and chanting for beach balls. And it's like, are you not invested? Like, why are you not invested in this match?
I think it's because of what we've seen from them in the past. It hasn't necessarily been like, oh my god, So I think the fans probably from a start were like, okay, this is just gonna be a match, just between Bray and Matt Hardy. So I guess maybe the investment wasn't there for everybody, because I know this is the point where they were doing beach balls, they were chanting Rusev Day, so this was kind of like their attention was geared elsewhere, and I kind of feel like the only way that they get really like invested is when Matt Hardy kind of brings out more of like his new character and whatnot. That's when they kind of get more enthralled in all of this, but I kind of felt like, they weren't interested at all.
I give props to Matt Hardy for going with the flow when everyone's trying to do the wave, and he got on the second rope and he's about to drop his elbow. He's like, yes! He does the wave, and it's like, okay. Like, if you guys aren't going to play along, I'll play with you guys.
I think we should GIF that out too.
Yeah.
Put it out.
But overall, it was a good pay-per-view.
Yeah, I thought so.
Way to set up for Fastlane?
Yeah, for Fastlane. February 11th, I think.
What about
March.
March. Wrong month.
I didn't really see Raw. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really see Raw.
It was good. The most talked about thing was the Roman Reigns promo where he actually got
Oh,
cheered.
I did see that. Never mind.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Even I cheered a little bit.
Yeah. Never mind. I did see that. I did see some of it.
And then, we forgot to talk about Ronda slamming Triple H in the table.
That was,
Yeah. That's epic. And Stephanie just like slapping her right across the face. That was cool.
That was hardcore.
What a slap. Let me tell you something. I've been on the wrong end of those slaps. And wow, man. Oh, I got to tell you, they are not pleasant.
Well, you could see the red mark all across the right side of her face.
Oh yeah, that is the hardest slap in wrestling. I've never been I've never been hit that hard, like in the head by a man or a woman.
By Steph?
Yeah.
When did Steph slap you?
Oh, she slapped me in the
Several
past.
times.
Yeah.
In the ring, though, right? Or
Oh, yeah.
okay.
No, she knows how to lay a slap in, man. There was no going, oh, she took it easy on Rousey. That was.
Well, isn't that like a Vince thing? Like, no, you lay it in.
Yeah.
Like, it has to look, like, even with the Kevin Owens headbutt.
Yeah.
Like, no, you're going to do this.
That's
don't,
right.
Don't make it look cheap. Even when you said you wrestled Shane, you're like, I'm going to kick you.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't want it to not look good.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, bring it. He's like, oh, yeah. Yeah, I had a nice talk with Shane yesterday. It was great. Well, you know, besides getting the interviews and that, it was nice to run into Glenn Danzig from the Misfits. Yeah, he was there, and I saw on Twitter
Did
that.
you not know he was going to be there?
No, no, I didn't, because I hadn't talked to him in a couple months, and so it was great seeing him. And he was really, he wanted to meet the Riot Squad. He's like, is the Riot Squad here? And I saw a picture of him with the Riot Squad, with Ruby Riot and what's the other girl's name? With the braids, with the dreadlocks.
Oh, Sarah Logan.
Yeah, and. Speaking of Ronda Rousey, it was nice to see her and her husband Travis Brown pictured right there with Lula and I.
Lou was so popular.
Oh
She
my
was,
gosh.
man. Yeah.
She was over. Everyone loved her.
Yeah. So, God, Travis Brown's one big dude.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude.
And because first time I'd met him, and he's like, oh, we were just watching matches of yours when you were in NWO. I'm like, cool.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
How often do you get that? Like we were just talking about.
I know,
Amazing.
you know, here and there.
It's so when we went yesterday, it was I don't know, maybe because you've been living your life and you don't notice it. So okay, let me break down and make it quickly. So we get there, we're walking into the venue, and I don't think we had guest passes, and you're Sean, so everybody knows you. So you're just walking in, and you kind of give them like the nod and the hand, and you're about to say something, and they get it, and then everybody's just ushered through, which was awesome. And then we're just like sitting in catering for like 3 hours, and it's just it's crazy because you see all these people that you've been watching on TV and stuff like that, like just like doing their thing, but they're like, you know they're human, but they're just, it was just like being a fly on the wall, which is kind of crazy. And then when you went to go and get Shelton for the interview, I'm standing outside because there's no TV in there, and I kind of just want to hear everything. So I saw Shane McMahon pass by, I saw Stephanie pass by, I saw John Cena pass by, and I'm like, okay, this is happening. And then I saw Trinity pass by, and I had interviewed her before, and she's like, oh, come to the women's locker room. Yeah. So we go into the women's locker room, and Asuka and Sasha, it was a very surreal day, to the point that when I got home, I fell asleep, I think before 10 o'clock, but I dreamt about, the dreams I had was like I was back at catering, and it felt like I didn't get sleep at all. It was a very surreal experience. So I want to say thank you for that experience. I don't think you can't even pay for that. Like, even if you get like VIP tickets to meet somebody or whatever, like you can't pay for that experience. That experience was, it's only, and it only could be with you. Like, you can't go with anybody else.
Oh, shucks.
To that event. It's just one of those things. Like, everybody, like O'Shea Jackson, Ice Cube's son, came up to, like, it was just one of those things.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was.
There's a picture of us with Shelton in the background.
That's the other funny thing. When you're taking pictures and catering, and you look, you're like, oh, who's in the background there? Like, oh, look at that person. Oh, look at that person.
Hey, man, if anyone looks like their father, it's that guy.
Seriously.
That and Jay Youngblood. Did you see that tweet of, do you know Jay Youngblood and the Youngbloods are, right?
Yeah.
Well, like, there was a tweet of Ricky Romero, who's their father from back in the Amarillo days, and it was so crazy how much they looked like each other. Just like he looks like Ice Cube.
Ice Cube.
Yeah. So I had to throw that Youngblood reference in there. I don't know why.
But
it was super cool to see everyone just so happy to see you.
Yeah.
And
I was happy to see them.
What everyone calls you too, like Randy Orton, oh hey Pac, and then Michael Hayes, oh later kid, you know, like just the difference.
And so Lily Singh, the big YouTuber. I mean, she's bigger than just the YouTube. She's done a lot of other really cool stuff.
She's crossed over to
And so, like, there's a picture of her and I together. And so when we were in catering, one of the PR people came up to me and said, Lily sings over there. And then they explained to me who she was and she told me the story herself. She's from Toronto, and Kane and I were doing an appearance somewhere, and I was her favorite. And she waited 5 hours in line to see me. And then when she got right up, ready to meet me, she fainted, and the ambulance had to come and take her to the hospital.
At least she's in Toronto.
How cool is that? I mean, it's not cool that she fainted.
She didn't have to pay for that bill.
Yeah, that's true.
That's funny.
But yeah, it's just it's just crazy how people, and that's the thing too. It's about being human and living your authentic self. I sound like Oprah, but the fact that you do that, more people gravitate towards you versus you feel, some people feel like they've achieved this and now they can walk on water type stuff. Like you strap.
Some people are like, that's their deal.
Yeah, but that's not.
It's not mine.
Yeah, there was one guy, I forgot who, he was sitting across the table, but you had Lou with you, and she started peeing.
That was so funny. Sean's like, I think I should take Lou out for a walk, and we're like, did you take her for a walk?
No.
And we just look, and he's holding her over the trash can.
No, what happened was I was in the production office securing us a room, which ended up being the Lakers locker room,
which was awesome.
Yeah. To shoot our interview, and they were all, goo goo gaga and over Lou, and she just squatted down and started pissing. So I immediately grabbed her really quick and ran, and she's pissing all over me. And I'm in catering now. In catering, we're food everywhere, and I'm holding her over a trash can, and she's pissing everywhere. It was great.
And then one guy's like, he's so tough, but he's so gentle at the same time. It was just hilarious. It was.
I'm not that tough.
Well, I mean,
I'm really gentle.
So.
Well, he shouldn't pee in the Lakers locker room, though.
Yeah,
Imagine that.
Oh, it would have been better because no one would have saw it. No one would have seen it. Sorry.
It was a great day.
Yeah.
It was.
Definitely.
And then Stephanie McMahon finally got to meet Lula. Aww. There's a picture of us. So,
she had a really pretty dress on.
Yeah.
And a lot of girls had really pretty nails. We were talking to Natty about her nails and some Kathy Kelly. We got to talk to Kathy Kelly. I hadn't seen her in a while.
Are they not supposed to have pretty nails?
No, I just things that I noticed.
Oh,
Sorry.
Okay.
Hey, who was putting over your nail game recently? Was it Rory?
Oh,
I think
Rory
so.
Karp?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was
Rory Karp.
My back is
Karp.
nails. Guys, don't worry about that.
Moving on.
But
So, yeah.
It was an amazing experience.
Yeah. Bill, I promised next time you're in, man. I promise.
That story in itself,
What?
how we got there, it was just very Sean-esque. Like, you just text me.
Flying by the seat of your pants.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was all last minute, and even Jimbo was like,
what?
I was going to do this at 9 a.m. and I'm like, hey, sorry, it's just kind of last minute.
And then I show up to pick him up. He's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
The message said I needed to be here by 1 to get you.
Send a full
oh,
text
really?
message after everything's figured out the night before. It's like, okay, this is what we're all doing. And, Sean doesn't text back just in case people are waiting for his texts. He just doesn't do it.
I know, it's so bad. And I apologize, and I appreciate everyone's tolerance when it comes to
So
that.
we're just
It all
used to
worked
it.
out,
Yeah,
though.
so it's just like, okay. This
Everyone
is what
had a
it
good
is.
night. Lou was happy.
I don't return a lot of people's texts.
Yeah.
All right? It's not even that. Sometimes I don't read them. There's so many on my phone that, just for anyone that's listening, that's in the I haven't returned your text club. It's just sometimes they scroll down so far that I don't even see them anymore. And if I don't reply right away, I'm scatterbrained. So I'm sorry. Not sorry.
Maybe you should just schedule a moment where you sit down and respond to all of your texts.
Yeah.
No.
No,
Hey,
you just got used to it.
Yeah.
So
Just got to work around it.
anyways, is there anything else?
I think it's time to go to the interview.
Yeah, man. Let's go to the Shelton Benjamin.
Shelton
Nailed it.
Benjamin.
Take two. Let's go to the Shelton Benjamin interview right now, and we'll be back after that. Hey, Xpac 12360 fans, I just want to tell you 2 ways that you can support the show to help it grow. First, if you've ever wanted to shout out a surprise message for various occasions from me, all you have to do is visit celebvm.com/Sean Waltman to request a video today. Not only does it support the show, but a portion of the proceeds go to charity. Second, visit prowrestlingtees.com/Sean Waltman. That's the only place to grab shirts with the Xpac 12360 logo, Wolfpac, or many other designs. If you pick up a shirt, make sure to tweet us using the hashtag Xpac12360. That's celebvm.com/Sean Waltman for a personal message from me, Xpac. And prowrestlingtees.com/Sean Waltman for Xpac, Wolfpac, and Xpac 12360 gear. Thanks for supporting the show. Now let's get back to it. Yeah, well, because I thought, I don't know why I thought this, but I thought you trained with Brad Rangans. And I think it's just because I'm the way I met you, and you're a University of Minnesota guy.
Yeah, so I've been to Brad's place, but Brock trained with Brad a little bit before he came to OVW. But no, I went straight from Minnesota to Louisville, where I was actually trained by Rip and Danny and
Danny
Cornette.
Davis, one of the Nightmares,
and Cornette. So
how was that, Cornette?
You know what? So I've been a wrestling fan all my life.
Yeah.
It was a bit, I was a little starstruck when I first met Cornette because
Midnight Express, and you grew up in South Carolina.
Exactly, and that's all I watched.
Yeah.
So when I first met him, in my head I was like, oh wow, I'm really in the deep end of the pool here as far as wrestling business goes. That's Jim Cornette. He's one of the greatest ever, you know. But at the same time, I was so new to the business, I was still in fan mode. So I was like, that's Jim Cornette. That's one of the most no-good managers in the business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but for me, it was fun. Like, my experience at OVW was like, it couldn't have been any better. Like, Danny was a great trainer. Rip was a great trainer. Cornette, you know, he was a great, as far as teaching us television and things like that. Like, for me, it was like an all positive experience.
Any negative, like, you know, I hear some people have negative experience with Jimmy, like anything like that?
No.
He ever go off on you, yell at you, things like that? Because he's very passionate.
Yeah, I think maybe one time he kind of grilled me a little bit because they were trying to promote something on TV.
Yeah.
But I kind of wandered out of the screenshot.
Wow.
And you know, he grilled me. He didn't yell at me. It wasn't anything that, you know, even that I would, as soon as it was done, it was done.
Right on.
But a lot of people have had a lot of, you know, I know the stories of people having issues with Cornette.
Yeah.
I'm just not one of them. Like, I've always had a good relationship with everyone down there. Like, I like to call myself low maintenance to no maintenance. Like, I just never had a problem with people.
Yeah, the thing is I've never heard one story about you, man. Drama, backstage, anything.
No.
Nothing, man. That's the truth.
Yeah, maybe I need to cause some trouble.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
you need to start stirring up a little
shiz. I guess for me, we all come from different walks of life.
Yeah.
For me, I was a poor kid from South Carolina who, for me, got a chance of a lifetime to be in the WWE.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to let anything get in the way of that. No bullshit. I mean, I guess there's only one time while in training that I went off on anybody, and it was Randy.
Oh, okay.
You know, he made a snide remark, and there was one time I took exception to it, but it was, you know, I went to go at him. You know, the guys kept us apart.
Yeah.
Nothing happened of it, and, you know, it blew over. But for the most part, I stayed out of trouble. I was not going to risk what I saw was a golden opportunity over nonsense. But at the same time, I've always been on team sports. You know, I get along with everybody. I choose to focus on the positive rather than the negative of anybody I'm hanging with.
I was just thinking about I was talking about Red Rang and that, and the first time we talked about this a little bit ago. The first time I met you guys was at the Target Center in Minneapolis. It was SummerSlam 1999.
Yep.
Jesse Ventura was the special ref that night. And,
Right.
And I think it was Jerry Briscoe introduced me to you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was our first. That was the first show, WWE show, either of us had been to. So it was for me. I was, like I said, I was a big time fan, so I was like, seeing everyone, and I'm like, man, they're bigger than they look. I didn't realize they were big, and then, meeting Big Show for the first time is quite the experience.
Yeah,
because, when I look back now, I think, how could I have been so awkward? But like when he went to shake my hand, the first thing I did was like turn his hand over, like, wow, this is a huge hand,
Yeah.
And, and Paul's like, I consider Paul like one of my big brothers. To just, now we became really good friends. But just thinking back to that time, I was a fan. I was a fan who had an all access pass to everybody. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And
the other thing that I was mentioning to you is Jerry Briscoe actually told me that you were the better of the two, you and Brock.
Jerry likes to stir stuff up.
He stirred that thing up with Brock and Kurt on the airplane too.
Oh yeah,
on that plane ride from hell.
Yeah, that doesn't sound anything like Jerry Briscoe. He wouldn't do that.
No, like real quick, Brock came to Jerry and was like, "Hey, Kurt's doing this and that to me. What should I do about it?" He was like, you don't take that shit." Stirred it up. Next thing you know, they're taking each other. He's taking them down.
Right.
Anyways, but yeah.
What's funny is most people don't realize that, one, I was a collegiate heavyweight wrestler, same weight class as Brock.
Yeah.
What else they don't realize is that when Brock came to Minnesota, he was replacing me on the team, but I was still there as a coach. So
how'd you feel about that?
It was, to me, it was what I did. Like
no jealousy or any kind of
no,
because
I was done. Like my wrestling eligibility was done. I'd done my 4 years.
Okay.
So he was, just replacing me on the team. So there wasn't a bit of jealousy. It was like I was actually happy. Like, wow, look what we got now.
Yeah.
And I had to wrestle him every day. But again, that wasn't a problem. I had been wrestling heavyweights since I was in the 10th grade. Of course, I never wrestled anyone with the explosiveness of Brock.
Yeah.
That to me was his biggest gift. He wasn't a technical marvel. He didn't have to be. He was explosive. He was strong, but he was also like extremely hard worker, and was always willing to learn. And there was no quitting the guy, as we all know.
Right.
So for 3 hours a day, every day for over a year and a half, me and Brock would be going at it. And like I said earlier, sometimes Brock would beat me, sometimes I would beat him, and sometimes we would stalemate for 3 hours.
But not all things being equal, though. You're 40, 50 pounds lighter than he is.
Well, I was okay. Like right? I didn't do too bad. I took third NCAAs, my senior year as a heavyweight. So.
Damn. Did you ever think about trying to drop weight and go,
No. When I first started wrestling, I had to be coaxed into it.
Yeah.
And I think in high school at the time, the next lowest weight was 189.
Yeah, that's a lot of weight to drop, man.
But at the time I was in high school, I weighed 204.
Okay.
And they're like, well, 189, you got to drop, 15 pounds or so. I'm like, what? You mean I can't eat? No, you can't eat. I'm out.
And I'm guessing you were really lean already.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that's just crazy and totally unhealthy.
Yeah. My coach, his name was Riley Jackson at the time. We had just done a tournament, and I wrestled heavyweight at the tournament, but he still wanted me to go to 89. So him and the assistant coach, Dave Wilson, was sitting next to him, and he was sitting there looking at me, and he was like, I'm like, what are you looking at, coach? He's like, I'm trying to figure out where I can trim 10 to 15 pounds off of him. And the assistant coach was like, well, I think you should just leave him where he at. He just did his first tournament as a heavyweight and came in second. So he was kind of like, yeah, maybe you're right. So they left me at heavyweight. And that was my first year wrestling, and I think I lost 9 matches my first year wrestling, and that was in the 10th grade.
Yeah.
junior and senior year, I won state. So when I left high school, my record was 73-10. So so it was like,
Nice.
they're like, yeah, I think we made the right decision.
So you were never thinking about going to the Olympics ever?
I was.
Were you? Okay.
I'd actually gone to the Olympic Training Center and trained with some of the guys there. They were trying to get me to do Greco.
I was wondering, I was going to say, are you a freestyle or Greco guy? Which one would you prefer?
I'm a freestyle guy.
Okay.
But they were trying to get me into Greco. I really wasn't feeling it. But, I figured I'd go and train, and, I got to work with Roland Gardner and Matt Gaffari.
Oh, wow, Matt Gaffari.
Yeah, Matt Gaffari was funny because I guess Roland was like second, behind Gaffari, so he wouldn't work with him, but he worked with me because I was a new kid, a smaller kid that he was like, I was no threat to him.
Sure.
But then, like, when he was down, and he could just lay there, but I actually lifted him, which kind of made him go, okay, I'm not going to work with him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was training for it, but my heart really wasn't in it. And I had always wanted to be in WWE. Matter of fact, Jerry Robinson, when I first got to Minnesota,
You're coach in University of Minnesota, friends of Jerry Briscoe.
Yeah, he actually asked me when I came in, he's like, well, what do you want to do when you're done with with college? I'm like, well, I'd like to try pro wrestling. He's like, okay. Well, I know some people in there. We'll, if you get through this, we'll work on that.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool, but didn't really know the connection. I hadn't done my own homework in history, so I didn't know that Jay knew Briscoe.
Yeah.
I had no idea about this, because I was just a kid from South Carolina, and everything was new to me. So when I got the call, I was a little like, oh, okay, he was legit.
Yeah. Did you start amateur wrestling because you wanted to be a pro wrestler?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The first time I went into, so first of all, like I said, I had to be coaxed into it.
Yeah.
The wrestling coach was also a football, he was a linebacker coach. So he tried to get me to come out my first year, and I never came. So my second year, my sophomore year of high school, I got moved up to the starting
varsity.
Yeah, the varsity. I'm sorry, the varsity squad. So now he had access to me. So around wrestling season, he was like, "Hey Shelton," after football practice, because the seasons overlap. He's like, "Hey Shelton, you need a ride home?" I'm like, "No, not really. No, come on, I'll get you a ride home." So we get in the car, and he doesn't drive me home. He drives me straight to wrestling practice. And I'm like, "What the hell? What's going on?" He's like, "Oh, just practice with us." Like, what are we doing? Because all I saw was a mat in the middle of a gym. I was like, we're going to wrestling practice. I'm like, well, where's the ring? Where's the post?
The ring, yeah.
Where's the post? And then, but yeah, I totally went in there thinking, I'm like, well, how are we going to learn how to drop kick with no rings,
Did you ever do pro wrestling matches in the wrestling room?
Oh, in the wrestling room, at tournaments.
Yeah.
Like, my team was a bunch of misfits, so we would do pro wrestling stuff all the time, everywhere. Matter of fact, I was that kid running around with cardboard belts, and
Me too.
bedazzle them and, have wars on the playground. I remember we used to, test out moves. Like, when we figured out the figure four really hurts. People, it's fake. Like, no, let's try this. And it was one of those, you don't even realize where the pain is. This just hurts.
This hurts, yeah.
So, I've been a wrestling fan, pro wrestling, all my life. So, definitely had a few matches.
I'm imagining that in my head right now.
Even in college. You know how many college rooms I've destroyed doing wrestling moves to my teammates?
Coach get hot at you thinking you get hurt?
Oh, nah. Never.
So we were talking about OVW a little bit ago, and then I jump around a little bit because I'm a little, brain damaged. But, man, what a graduating class you were in, man, over there. Who was it? It was you?
So it was me, Cena, Orton, Batista.
Think about this.
and that's just the guys that are still here.
Yeah.
Some of the women, Victoria, Nydia, Jazz, Big Show, and Mark Henry were down there for a while. Rob Conway, Eugene.
And it was just really, it was good stuff. I remember seeing some of the TVs and that, and it was really like, wow, man, what a good. And it shows how great like everyone turned out being.
You know, I always felt like we had the greatest class. You know, not because of, you know, well, obviously with Brock, Cena, and Randy, you look at their accomplishments and what they're still doing, it speaks volume. But I always felt like we were all over-prepared when we finally came here, because at the time, no one had made it. So while we were training, there was, you know, I guess Bull Buchanan was the only person who had been on TV and, you know, actually came to OVW for a while. But aside from that, none of us had really made it. So all of us felt like we had to make each other better.
Yeah.
Because plus there were two other developmentals, one in Memphis.
Well, there was one in Cincinnati. It was like
HWA. Yeah. So there were those three, and of course we don't know how the system worked. So we figured, okay, we all got to be good, so that if they pluck someone out of here, they'll say, oh, he's really good. So we're going to look back to that well. So we want them to keep coming back to that well. So we all, like, everybody was like really good friends. Everybody showed up on time. Everyone stayed, you know, came early, stayed late. No one was in a rush. And like
everybody was supportive of each other instead of like trying to, you know, hold somebody down.
Yeah, not to knock like NXT or anything like that, because I really don't know how it works down there. But for a while, it seemed like guys were just coming in really quick and going right out, coming in really quick and going right. So it almost felt like a lot of new talent were just, oh, it's my turn, so let's go. But they weren't helping each other. It's like, I'm just here, I'm going to get good, then I'm going to go. Like, we were like, no, before you go, you got to be good.
Yeah.
You know? And with certain people, we just knew. You know, other guys, like, you know, for a while, I wasn't sure Randy was going to even. Randy, I thought would get fired because Randy, he was funny.
Sure, yeah.
Batista got hurt a few times. I'm like, man, he's really fragile. So we weren't, you know, I wasn't on board with them at first.
Yeah.
You know, but obviously they made it, and my opinion changed, especially with Randy, because I don't do a lot of drop kicks, and it's because Randy used to do the most beautiful drop kick, and it was so good. I'm like, I'm not going to do them because I can't do it that good, and I'm supposed to be the athlete.
I was just going to say, man, if you're saying that, then Randy must have a sweet-ass drop kick.
Oh, man, it was beautiful. Like, I mean, pinpoint perfect, and like I said, I stopped doing them because I couldn't do them as pretty as Randy.
Yeah.
So we were there for a while. Cena actually came in maybe a year after me. And he's one of those guys, like, you knew immediately, not by his wrestling.
Yeah.
But as soon as he started talking, it was like, wow. Like, you know, we think of what a great talker he is today, like, at this point, legendary status as far as his ability to talk and motivate and win over a crowd. He could do that from the day I met him.
Yeah.
And
they saw that in him. Whether he understands that or not, like, trust me, because I was here and I was dialed into everything. Mm-hmm. Trust me. They saw it, and he was they went, that's the guy right there.
Yeah. And
I don't care what anyone says.
I was like, how in the hell did you get so good at that? Like, I remember asking him, this is an OVW, and he said, oh, I just sit at home and talk to myself in the mirror a lot.
Yeah.
Really? And, like, I wish, you know, when you look back at your own career, that's one of the things I wish I had picked up on. Like, you know, success leaves crumbs, and he had left a little crumb there, but at the time I didn't recognize it, because I wish you know, if there's any shortcoming in myself, like, you know, I wish I was a better talker.
Me too. That's the one thing.
Yeah. Wrestling-wise, like, you know, I don't
Yep.
care what anyone says. You can't tell me anything when it comes to a match. When it comes to talking, like, that's the one thing I wish at the time I had understood how important that was and developed it more.
Man, when you're as good, Shelton, I've said this before, man. I think you're like as good as any. Like, there's not a better athlete in wrestling than Shelton Benjamin. That's a shoot, man. And it's amazing how many great athletes there are now. Like the level of athleticism.
Oh, it's like I even now I say no. I used to be the greatest in WWE. I look around now and it's like, whoa. Like there are some. I mean, some of the guys are doing things like I'm completely dumbfounded by. Like when I look at the 205 Live guys, and I look at the incredible stuff that they do. Like sometimes I go, how did you even think of that? You know, like they're amazing.
Speaking of how'd you think of that, like how'd you guys come up with some of those crazy Money in the Bank spots, man? Because honestly, like WWE run wise, like that's your thing, man. You're the king of the Money in the Bank match.
That was completely accidental. I was more like when the first year, I was the new guy. Everyone else pretty established, you know. So when we finally started putting the match together, I didn't know how anything would go. But I was actually late to the meeting because I was doing the video game tournament. So when the tournament was over, I had to go and meet all the guys. And by the time I got there, they had all these ideas, and it was almost like back to back. Edge or Jericho would come to me and go, "Hey Shelton, if I hold a ladder like this, could you do this?" And I would go, "Yeah." Like, "You sure?" I'm like, "Yeah." "Can you show me?" Nail it, no problem. Yeah. Oh, okay. So Edge would come, "Hey Shelton, if I did this, could you do this?" And it was just them going back and forth. It was like they were thinking of the crazy ideas, and I was just going, "Yeah. Can you run up the ladder for me?" Yeah.
Did they ever come up with an idea that you said, "No, I don't know if I can do that"?
No. No, I mean, it was pretty funny because at the time, I guess I didn't really realize or appreciate my own athleticism. So when they were asking me to do this stuff, in my head I'm going, this is the kind of stuff I did when I was a kid. My mom would whip me for it. You know what I mean? Like running up ladders and jumping over this and flipping over that. Like, you know, I've been grounded so many times for doing that kind of stuff as a kid. So when they're asking me to do it, I'm like, yeah. You know, part of me is like, yeah, why are you asking?
Hey, did you feel like a lot of this came easy to you? Obviously you put in the work. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But like, you know, man, some people pick up on things and it just, people have the aptitude and some people don't.
I definitely feel like the physical stuff. If you showed it to me one time, I got it. Like in one of their early classes in OVW, Danny basically said, "Okay, want to see you guys climb to the top rope as quick as you can." I just went one bound, top rope. He's like, "Okay, you're done." You know. So from a physical aspect, yes, it was extremely easy, probably too easy, and even in some matches, I think where people expected me to be nervous, I wasn't because I'm like, well, this is what I trained for, you know.
Really?
Like so.
You never got the big match butterflies before the WrestleMania stuff?
No.
Wow, man.
Like because in my head I know I can do this.
Yeah.
Like this isn't something I question. The match with Hunter, that kind of really put me on the map as a singles performer. I was excited, but I wasn't like nervous because in my head I'm like, I've always felt like, just like I'm sure any young, talented guy who watches me will go, "Oh, I can hang with him. was my attitude. I can hang with anyone you put me in front of.
Yeah.
So I wasn't nervous, and I think that might have rubbed people the wrong way in some cases, because even the match with Sean, with the Gold Rush match, which another one of my great matches, like I wasn't nervous. I'm like, man, I've been waiting for this. I'm waiting for a time for you to put me in the ring with these guys and show what I could do. Show I can hang with. I always wanted to show I could hang with the best, because I understood I wasn't a natural talker.
Yeah.
So I had to show my talent by showing my talent. And when I had an opportunity with, quote, top guy, I was going to rise to that occasion every time.
Did you notice a big difference between, like, when you worked with Sean, Hunter, or as opposed to, like just some of the other guys on the card?
This is going to surprise you. What I noticed when I worked with Sean and Hunter and Taker and Jericho and Edge and Ray, all these top guys, the one thing I noticed, it was always easier.
Yeah.
Every time. Easier.
And, yeah, it's always easier whenever they care about the people you're in there with. Yeah.
But even from a technical aspect of things, like they, I guess they obviously had better psychology than me, and it was just, everything was just so much, it was so much easier to even put a match together. And for the most part, I just kind of went, I tweak here and there, like, oh, I don't feel comfortable doing this, maybe I could do that, But for the most part, they were captains of the ship, but it was so easy to take that ride with them. Like, Hunter, anytime I wrestle Hunter, I was like, oh, easy night. Yes, it's Hunter. And again, that goes back to where I said, people assume that I should be way more nervous than I am. Like, no, I'm not nervous. I'm like, this is what
excited,
I want.
Right? Yeah. It's okay. It's not against the rules to not be nervous.
Right.
It's just most people are.
The only time that I can remember being nervous, 2 times. The first time I wrestled Flair at a pay-per-view, because I come out first, and this is for the first time ever. Ric Flair, this is the man who, in my opinion, has always been the man.
That's right.
Ric Flair has always been my world champion.
Yeah.
So when I finally see him coming down the ring for the first time, like, there's a moment where I'm just like, that kid's standing.
I'm wrestling Nature Boy Ric Flair. Yeah, exactly. I've been there. I know what's up.
When he's coming down, you're watching the whole thing, and then you snap out of it and have the match. The second time that ever happened was years later. It was the first time I had a singles match with Taker.
Oh, okay.
And that's when there was a huge shot of adrenaline when I go to the ring and I hear gong, and I was like, because I would always go out into the arena. I would sneak into the arena for Taker's interests. If I was on the show, I was going to be in the arena for Taker's interests and go back. But this time I'm in the ring waiting for Taker to come. And
and the Taker that comes through the curtain, that's a different Taker than we're sitting there talking in the dressing room, man.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like I said, that little kid, when that gong hit, that little kid was in the ring watching. And it wasn't until Taker had came to the ring, stepped in, and just when he takes his hat off and the lights go up, that's when I kind of snapped out of it, like, oh, okay, you got to wrestle him now. Come on. Little kid got out of the ring, time to work.
He was great, man.
He was the best.
Yeah.
He's one of the guys that you come into the business with a certain level of respect for individuals. Taker is the one individual, I think, from a professional and personal opinion, like, my respect for him, there's no one higher.
Yeah. Like, you have this amount coming in, and then once you get to know him and meet him and see how he really is, it's double.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, I had the same experience, with Hunter. For different reasons, but part of it's because Hunter is a huge part, of how my name got out there, and
it just has such a man. When I hear the term ring general, that's what pops into my head is Triple H.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
So they there's a whole list of guys, like I have you know, anyone in our business I have respect for. Anyone who's found great success in our business I have success for. And again, from a totally different angle, people who have been in our business for a long time who haven't had the same successes as a taker or a hunter, like I have even more respect for those guys because it takes a lot to always be the giver. You know, my job, you know, there's a lot of guys whose my job is to build stars, not to be a star, it's to build stars. So, you know, you gain a respect for people that you, like I said, you already respect them, but you didn't, you get a new perspective. Especially, you know, because I've been in that role where it's like, no, I'm helping guys, you know. So when you're in there, you know, a lot of people say, oh, I love the business. To me, I would say it's real easy to love the business when the business is got the rocket started.
Yeah, man.
It's an even bigger love for the business when you're getting the crumbs, but you're still saying, no, I'm going to stay in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's
like not to do this whole hey, back in my day thing, but when I started for this company, it got so bad, man, that I don't think they give draws anymore here, but we would get a $300 draw, no, $200. And man, if we didn't get our draw sometime, Shelty, man, we wouldn't get any money on our paycheck. Wow. Yeah. Like on a Florida run or certain Canadian runs. That's it was buttermilk, man. Yeah. That's love for the business. Blowouts. Yeah, but you're on TV. Yeah, but I'm poor. I ain't made no money. I'm driving a hoopty.
Fans, did you win tonight? No.
Yeah. Hey, so you left working here like for a while, man, and I saw you. I think I saw you pop up in Noah.
Yeah. So when I left WWE, I did a year of just floating, freedom, just doing whatever I wanted. And then I started working with Ring of Honor. So I worked with them for 2 years.
Oh, that's right. You and Charlie.
Yeah, world's greatest tag team reformed in Ring of Honor. And, you know, again, that was a great experience. And the funny thing is, when I came back, I didn't think I'd know many guys, but I'm like, wait a minute. I know you guys. I've shared locker rooms with you, you know. So I did. It wasn't as alien of a locker room as I thought. So I worked with Ring of Honor for 2 years, and then while working with them, I started going over to Japan, and then I ended up leaving Ring of Honor to make Japan my hub. So
I just got to bring something up with Ring of Honor, though. The Teddy Hart thing, man. Come on, the match where Teddy comes out, like.
I wasn't there when Teddy was there.
No, it wasn't at you and Charlie. Yes.
Oh,
and Charlie was slapping the shit out of him.
That wasn't Ring of Honor. That was like an indie promotion that Charlie and his brother started with. And Teddy.
That was crazy, man.
That was crazy. But his thing, I was working the whole time, and apparently so was Teddy.
Oh, because Kurt Angle was there too.
Kurt wanted to kill him.
Yeah, that's what it was.
But because I was slapping him. Like, he would shove me, and I'd slap him. You see me? Slap him. Shove me, slap him again. Then he jumps out of the ring, like, comes outside, you know. And, like, the whole time, I was working.
Yeah.
Kurt, on the other hand, is he really? Like, Kurt wanted to kill him. And I remember Chris Hero was part of that, too. So that was, for me, that was all work. And while this is all happening, I'm like, are people, what's going on here? Like,
it was so crazy to watch that show.
Oh, but it was funny. Yeah. To me, it was funny because we went in the back and it was like me and Teddy were cool, but everyone else like whatever. Like,
yeah,
it was.
But you were talking about going to Japan.
Yeah, I started going to Japan with and I started off tagging with MVP in Japan, and then did a little singles. So I did that for 2 years. And then Noah started loaning me out. I'm sorry, New Japan loaned me and the faction I had joined, Suzuki Gun. To
Oh, you were part of Suzuki Gun, yeah.
So the whole crew went to Noah, and we were there for 2 years, and that's when I got called back home.
Yeah.
But
and then like, so when they called you and you went into physical, you found out you had like some issues with your shoulder.
I had a torn rotator. And
did you even know?
I thought I was just a little sore, because when it happened, like I knew something was wrong. You know, I went and saw a doctor, and you know, I got the dreaded cortisone shot that fooled me. And but for the next month and a half, like I was still working, and every day my arm just felt better. So like, oh, maybe it wasn't that bad, but it wasn't until I actually did the physical. You know, they performed this little test and like put your hands together and keep them apart, and I couldn't fight at all with this hand. Then it says, you know, hold your hands to the side and keep me from bringing them down. And like, it's like no fight whatsoever. And that was the first time I went, what the, you know, because I'd been still in the weight room benching 350, no problem. So the last thing I'm thinking is, well, there's something torn. But
had you ever been injured since you started your wrestling career? Because I'd never heard of you ever being injured.
3 months in, I hyperflexed my elbow, and that was, you know, that was my first injury.
Were you out for any length of time?
Yeah, I was out for about 4 months.
Wow.
But that, you know, in OVW, and it was even before me and Brock started tagging. So after that.
It's just you've always been really reliable.
Yeah, all of my injuries, my major injuries happened in OVW. I separated my shoulder. No, I separated my shoulder 3 months in, and a year later, I hyperflexed my elbow. But between those two injuries, I learned to bump right.
Yeah.
And after that, no problems. Yeah. You know, sore just like everybody else, but nothing major.
I was really happy to finally see you show up on the TV here, man. And then it was really cool to see that put you with Chad.
Well, I wasn't expecting that.
Me neither, man. No. That's I would have never came up with that.
It's funny because obviously with Chad and his former partner Jason, would get comparisons to me and Charlie all the time. And as a matter of fact, it got to an annoying point as far as my Twitter feed. I'd be seeing people, you know, world's greatest tag team too and stuff, you know.
Sure.
So I see all that. And the first time I actually met him was probably a month before I came back. And the first thing I said to him, like, are you guys as sick of us as we are as you?
Right.
But so when they paired me and Chad, it was like, I really didn't see that coming, but let's see where this goes.
Yeah.
You know, so we've been having fun making a few waves, and you know, hopefully we can wrestle those titles away from the Usos at some point.
Have you had matches with the Usos?
Oh yeah. Yeah. We've
you guys must rock it with those guys,
we've had a few wars with the Usos and the New Day, and you know, it's. I believe at this point the only team we haven't faced is the Bludgeon Brothers. We're in no rush to do that.
They're really good though.
They're really good, but they're really big and they hit really hard. You know, I found
you don't like getting hit. You don't like getting hit hard.
In my advanced stage of my career, you know, I try to avoid as many heavy blows as I can. So I gotta play the wily vet.
Hey, so it's a big difference around here since the first time you worked here and when you came back, huh?
Yeah, I was a young guy.
Yeah.
I was the baby in the locker room. Now I'm like, hey, Shelton, how old are you? Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Don't even ask. We don't talk about that.
Well, I mean, just a lot of things have changed since your first time here.
Definitely a lot of things have changed. A lot of things have changed, and a lot of things have stayed the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
if you work here, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But but it's still like I'm still here chasing that dream. You know, like
Do you feel like you lived your dream?
I've been living my dream.
Yeah.
You know,
You're still living it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, I have yet to basically have what most would call a normal 9 to 5 in my adult life.
That's a wonderful thing,
and
right?
I'm in no hurry to do so.
Hey, do you have any other dreams that you haven't chased yet?
Honestly, not really. Like, I've been small things. There are small things I like to do. I like to, you know, do voiceovers for a cartoon. I like to, you know, do a movie. Not maybe a starring role, just have a significant role, not just because I was actually in a movie.
Which one?
It starred Billy Crystal and Robin Williams. It was called Father's Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you watch the airport scene, as they're passing by, there's a blurry, really jacked up black guy just standing, leaning. That was 18-year-old me.
Nice. And how long did it take to shoot that scene?
All
day, right? Isn't that crazy?
All day, and I got $75, but I was a poor college student. That $75 must have felt like $1,000.
Yeah, and you're in a movie.
Yeah,
I'm in a movie with Billy Crystal and Robin Williams.
Oh yeah, that was that was the cool part about it because again, this is stuff from where I'm from. Yeah. This is stuff this is TV stuff. You don't see movie stars, legit movie stars, standing in front of you. You don't see cameras. You don't see all this production. You just see other poor people.
Hey, so we were talking about this earlier. Obviously, the whole gun and the freaking glove box, man. And we already talked about this, but can you share with us anything come of that since since last everyone's heard?
I will say, Budget has reached out to me, the car company. They reached out to me. I spoke with a few of their reps, and they have offered me certain compensations. I'm not going to say what. But,
sure.
But it's
I guess what
cool.
I guess what I was going to say. Are you cool with that? I mean, are you satisfied with
I am only because
all things
considered, it could have gone way worse, and all things considered, I'm fine. And a weapon is off the street. Obviously, the owner was not responsible, so the owner shouldn't have the gun. So.
And we were talking about this earlier. You'd think maybe somebody, like you said, trying to ditch it.
I would think someone would ditch it because I don't know anyone who would forget, I put my loaded pistol in the car.
The thing is I'm wondering, so unless they rented it in somebody else's name, it would be easy to figure out maybe who left the gun in the car, but I guess that's not for you.
I don't even I didn't even think about that.
It's just you were telling me you got pulled over like a couple of days before you found it.
So I rented it on a Sunday, and I dropped it off Wednesday morning. But Monday night, while going to the town we were going to have TV in, I got pulled over for speeding. Mm-hmm. Luckily, I have great cop etiquette. What I mean?
Hands on the wheel.
Hands on the wheel. Got all the information right here for you.
Yeah.
So I didn't look in the glove compartment. He asked me for my information, and I normally just keep it up right in the dashboard. So, just hand it to him. And the cop was cool, There was, I know how the climate is, but no, the cop was cool. He was like, okay, so where you going? The usual questions. And he was like, all right, I'll let you off with a warning. Just please slow down. Right on. And that was the end of it.
Imagine how it could have went though if you went into this one instead of here.
When I pulled it out, the first thing I thought about was, what if I had thrown this information in the glove box? Because that's that was the scary part to me because I was like, there's no way I can explain away how a loaded gun is in my glove compartment. No one would believe that.
It's like me. So
if I heard it, I'm like, come on, really? You didn't know it?
Yeah. It's like me getting arrested for crystal. Did you hear about that?
Mm-mm. Wait,
I got arrested and they said I crystal meth.
Yeah.
But I really didn't. But I had I can understand why somebody's not believing this.
Right.
Just like I can understand why this police officer doesn't believe that's not my gun. And
right.
You know.
And so I vented that budget of me.
Yeah.
It's
just so
initially, but like I said, it's not that. All things considered, in the end, everyone's fine. But he found it, I could have easily been arrested because I can't explain the gun. And there's a whole, domino effect, once, obviously WWE would not look kindly on that kind of thing. And I have my own personal reputation. Like, I've never been arrested. I've never been in any kind of trouble with the law. And that's one of the things I kind of pride myself on.
And you should, man.
But in my head it's like, you're not supposed to get in trouble with the law. So even though it's something I pride myself on, it's something I believe, this is just how a lawful citizen lives.
Yeah.
And that would have been completely blown out of the water because, And, if you want to go the extreme route, obviously we can.
Could have been going to a funeral, man.
Yeah. So.
Like, be honest about this.
Yeah. But again, luckily we weren't.
Yeah.
And the gun's off the street and, happy ending. I get, I got a little bonus from budget, so.
Right on. I bet you. So, is it safe to assume you're going to be renting from budget like forever?
Oh, they'll be getting my bill.
Anyway, hey man, how long are you looking to keep wrestling? We're gonna wrap this up right now.
Honestly, I don't want to overstay my welcome.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely gonna stay around as long as the checks keep clearing.
Yeah. Well, man, it's really, really cool to see you back here, man, because you're a credit to the industry, man,
thank you.
And a super, super human being.
Thank you.
And thank you, man, for taking the time. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Want to thank Shelton Benjamin for taking the time out of his evening last night to do that interview with us. It was I really enjoyed it. I didn't, Jimbo. You had to tell me that it was really good.
Oh,
else I wouldn't.
so good.
It was just a conversation.
Well, it was crazy because we're standing there and we're
Yeah.
like, "Wow, this is great. Should we wrap him up? TK, should we wrap him?" Yeah, and TK gives you a little note. And then, that's a great question. Should we wrap him now? Like, no? Okay, good. And then finally we're like, dude, we got to wrap this up.
Yeah.
But you guys could have just kept going and going.
It ended right then. That was the proper spot to end it. I exhausted that was pretty much it. Yeah.
It's funny too. You're like, we're gonna wrap this up right now. Don't worry about it.
So we need to actually wrap this up right now. So go ahead and tell everyone where I'm gonna be, Jimbo.
Okay, so tomorrow, March 1st, you will be at Second City in Hollywood, co-hosting the Flying Chuck Show with none other than AKA Johnny Morrison, Johnny Mundo, Johnny Impact. It's going to be an improv show. Sean's going to tell some stories. Some improvisers are going to do some acting about it. It's going to be really good.
Wait till you see what I do to those improvisers with my stories.
At Second City LA on Twitter. It's at 10 p.m. Tickets are available at the door. March 16th, you have a show for One Fall Wrestling in Cleveland, Tennessee.
That's right.
And then March 17th, you're doing a seminar for that same company for One Fall Wrestling. Info at facebook.com, One Fall Wrestling. And also at WrestleCon, you'll be there all 3 days with That Wrestling Club. Also with That Wrestling Club is Kevin Nash, Al Snow, and Mean Gene Okerlund. Information for that is at thatwrestlingclub.com. And April 21st, you'll be at MCW's Tribute to the Legends convention. Probably just hanging out and signing.
Signing, yes. I'm not wrestling.
Awesome.
Not wrestling there, just signing.
Come take some pictures. Throw up some suckets.
Yeah, bring the new 6 dolls if you want them signed. Things like that.
I have one in my car that I want to do an unboxing with you with. We should.
Okay. We could. Why didn't you bring it in?
Okay.
Could have done it on the show, Jimbo.
All right. Next week.
So yeah, hey everyone.
Follow me on Twitter at Jimbo in the Booth, and follow Shelton Benjamin on Twitter at SheltyB803.
Yeah.
And you guys can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at @Denise Salcedo.
And you can find me on all social media at Sundown Motel. And please, if you enjoy this podcast, you might enjoy the With Spandex podcast. So check it out. It's also on Westwood One.
Is that McMansplaining?
It is McMansplaining.
Nice.
You can find it at McMansplaining or at With Spandex Podcast on Apple Podcasts, wherever you find podcasts.
Sweet. When are you going to have me back on?
Anytime you want, man.
All right. Just ask.
Wow, that was very aggressive.
All right.
Finger guns and everything.
On Twitter, The Real Xpac, IG Xpac12360, Facebook Xpac12360 Show. You can follow me on everything at TK Trinidad. I'm still training for the marathon. If you want to donate, you can go on a little byline at TK Trinidad. And birth season's coming up too.
Oh snap!
Yeah, all right.
Water pumps in Africa.
Yes, I'm actually going to Europe. It's gonna be fun.
Europe? Mm-hmm. All right.
For the whole season?
No, the end of the season's gonna end in Ibiza.
Okay.
Are you going to do any drinking?
Of course.
A little weed, maybe?
No.
Ecstasy?
Oh my gosh! Not after that one thing that we had that weed thing that had me tripping for like 24 hours. No.
Wait, what?
That weed sponsor that we had.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Oh.
Yeah, no.
Oh, the edible.
Yeah, it was not a good look.
I knew that was going to happen.
Thanks for telling me, Sean. Appreciate it.
I'm just kidding. Anyways, hey, thanks everyone for tuning in to Xpac 12360 right here on the Jericho Network, only on Westwood One.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Sean Waltman, producers Mark Donica, Jimbo Frank, and TK Trinidad, and the entire Xpac 12360 staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in. Like us on Facebook, rate and comment on iTunes and YouTube. Follow Xpac on Twitter at TheRealXpac, and email us at xpac12360show@gmail.com.